did the introduction part, what we will be discussing in the course, what we will be covering up in our course, the course details, as you can see over here, right? And then we just saw what is Selenium, what is the history of Selenium, right? And then the introduction to C Sharp only, why C Sharp is important, and then what is C Sharp, like we just did that. So okay, so now this is your Visual Studio, this is your Visual Studio 2015, right? Now say suppose I want to create a project in this Visual Studio. So what I do is I simply click on this new project, or else you go to this file menu, then new and project. We will create a new project over here. Okay, hold on. Yeah, so now over here we go to the Visual C Sharp, and then right here over here you can see that there are various options that you can see in this particular dialog box, that is which type of a project you want to create. You want to create a Windows form application, a WPF application, a console application, ASP.NET web application, class library project. There are a variety of options that you can create, the type of project you want to create, right? And then like in our course we will be actually discussing the console application and the class library project. And then these rest all projects, we don't use it much, like we don't use it rarely. Okay, and then you also need not to worry about what these projects are and then what all is being done. Say like if you want to create a web application, then you can use the ASP.NET web application, or for the desktop based applications we use the Windows form application, right? And then like say like as I told you, we'll be discussing the console application and the class library project in our course. And then I'll just tell you what is the difference between these two projects. Okay, now say suppose I create a console application project. Okay, say I just first day. Okay, hold on. Yes, so you see that your project has been created, right? And then this is your class, the program.cs class, which comes by default when you create a new project. Okay, right? And then inside this first day project we have 4 folders coming up by default. Okay, and then this is like inside the Solution Explorer you can just view all your classes, everything, the project that you have created, the classes, the references that you will be adding up in your project. The Solution Explorer window will contain that. Okay, right? And then say like okay, now as I told you, this contains 4 folders. Now what is this properties folder? Under this properties folder we have this assembly info class with us, which just like contains the assembly information regarding your project. Okay, so we'll not be working with this, there is nothing to do with this assembly info class. It's just the configuration file that comes up when you create a console application project. Okay, sorry, right? And then okay, and then we have the references folder. Under the references folder you will be adding all your files, all your class files that you need to refer in your project. Okay, so like right now we'll not go much deep into this references folder, as we will go with the class. Will you just understand what all types of references will be adding up in our project. Okay, so like in order to configure Selenium, in order to work with your Selenium code, you will be adding the references to the Selenium DLLs inside your references folder, right? We'll discuss that as well. Okay, so this is like under the references folder we just add the DLL files, the class files that you need in your project. Okay, and then we have the next file is the app.config file. So the app.config file is just the configuration file regarding your .NET framework, which is like the version of your .NET 4.0 it is. Okay, and .NET framework it is, and whose version is this. Fine, so this is your like the configuration regarding your .NET, the Visual Studio. Fine. And then we have the class file with us, the program.cs class file, which contains the main method inside it. Okay. Now, what is this static? What is this void? We'll discuss everything in our class. So like right now we'll just focus on this main function. Okay, the program.cs class file, which contains the main method inside it. And as we know that the execution of a program starts from the main function itself, so which is a must in order to execute your code. Fine. Now, say like how do you declare a variable? Say suppose I want to declare an integer variable int a is equal to say 20 it is, right? So this is simply the variable, the integer variable declaration. You will simply give the data type as int and the variable name, and we declare it anything. Say suppose I want to declare a string variable, string x is equal to say hello it is, right? So this is, you declare your string variable, and then I assume that you know the for loops, the if statement, right? How do you declare a function? Okay, so these are the basic things that you must know, the basic programming concepts. Okay, right? And then say like if you want to print something, if you want to print anything with the help of the C# code in the Visual Studio, then how do you print? That is, for that we write console.writeLine. Okay, and inside this I'll give any text that I want to print, right? Say I give Selenium C# training. Okay, that is, I want to print Selenium C# training. So for that, in order to print anything, you write console.writeLine, right? And then if you want to and then how will you execute your code? In order to execute your code, out here we have this start button, right? So we'll simply click on this start button, and then we'll be seeing the output. Okay, so it's compiling, hold on. Okay, so you saw that like the execution was so fast, we were not able to see the output. Like you just saw that the black window did come, right? The black window did come, in which we were having our output, the actual output, but we were not able to see the output. Now why it is so? Why we are not able to see the output? It is because if I write one more statement, console.read key, and then now if I execute my code again, now you can see this command prompt, which contains your output, Selenium C# training, and then it has not vanished away as well. We are able to see the output. Okay, so this what is this console.read key? This console.read key, it is used to read the output. It is used to freeze the screen until you close the window at your end. The window will not be vanished away. Like we can see the output until we do not close the window by our end. Okay, so console.read key is used to freeze the screen so that we are able to read the output. Okay, so just make sure that every time you are trying to print anything, always write console.read key so that you are able to see the output at the end. Okay, so console.writeLine is used to print anything, and console.read key is used to read the output. Fine. And then say like the shortcut for console.writeLine is you write CW and press double tab key. So it will like the console.writeLine, the shortcut for it. Okay, so this is how you print anything in C#. Fine. Now say like right now in our project we only have one class, program.cs class, which contains the main method inside it. Now you can add any number of classes that you want inside your project. So suppose you want to add one more class, so you simply right click on this project name, and then we have add new item. Okay, and then you see that this dialog box, it contains various kind of items that you can add in your project. If you want to add a class, you simply select class. If you want to add an interface, then we have an interface option as well, the component class, the user control class, okay, the cursor file, application configuration file, the config file if you want to add. Okay, so you can see like you can just have a look at it, the various options according to your requirement. You can just add it in your project. Okay, now say suppose I want to add one more class file in my project. So you see that the class file class1.cs has been added in your project, okay, which does not contain the main method. Like the program.cs, which comes by default when you create a project, it contains the main method, and if you want to add one more main method in your class, then you can simply create a main method inside this as well. Okay, so like you can add any number of class files in your project, in your console application project, as many class files that you want. Okay, right now okay, so like right now we have two classes with us, program.cs and the class1.cs class file. Now what actually happens practically is that now what the developers do is that they put all type of classes, like say suppose right now we have two classes with us. Okay, say suppose we have multiple class files in our single project. Okay, now what developers do is that they put all these classes in a single class, in a single file known as the DLL file.
Excuse me.
Yes.
How?
Yes.
See, can you give me the brief introduction about the classes with everything like for loop, just brief, just without coding. Can you give me this user statement like
Okay.
basic thing. We didn't update it.
Okay, all right. So like as we'll go with every topic, so like right now I'm just focusing on a class only, right? So we'll discuss class, and then when we'll discuss about the objects, so I'll tell you brief introduction to objects as well, the loops, if statements and all, everything we'll discuss as day by day. Okay, so right now say like I'm focusing on the class. Now what is a class? Class is just a blueprint, you can say. Class contains everything inside it. In a class you can declare functions inside a class, you can declare variables inside the class, you can declare your for loops, if statements, anything, right? So class is like it contains everything inside it. Okay, and then say like right now on the first day I'll not tell you everything, like you'll also be confused. So as we go with our course we'll discuss everything. Okay, you'll get it clear. Fine.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Fine. So like we were discussing, like I was telling you, we have say like we have multiple class files in our project. Okay, and then what developers do is that they put all these class files in a single file known as the DLL file. Okay, for example, let us see. For example, we have this references folder. Under this references folder you can see many references have been, like these many references have been added in your project. Okay, now C# is a collection of DLL files. All these are known as the DLL files. The files that you can see under this references folder, these are known as the DLL files. Okay, and every DLL is a collection of class. Okay, every DLL is a collection of class. Now there are inbuilt in the C# there are inbuilt classes which we can actually use in our program. Say suppose I want to print the current date and time of my system. Okay, so how do you print the current date and time? For that we have the datetime class, datetime dot, and then now I fire the now function, that is I want to print the current date and time. Okay, right. So now if I execute my code, you can see the output. It says that the current date and time over here is 19th April 2017 and the time is 7:15 a.m. Right. Okay, so datetime.now function, it prints the current date and time. Okay, now what is this datetime class? I didn't write the code to print the current date and time, right? We are just making use of this datetime class. So datetime, this is an inbuilt class in Selenium. In C#. This is an internal class in C#, right? Which we are making use of in our program in order to print the current date and time. right? So like if we can extract the date so very easily, just making use of this date time class only, by using some internal features which are there in C sharp. Similarly in Selenium as well, there is no rocket science that you'll have to write the complete code to open the browser, to print, like to do anything regarding the Selenium and all. We'll be just using the inbuilt classes in Selenium as well. Okay, right. So as we had seen yesterday also, like if I go to the official website of Selenium, seleniumhq.org website. Okay, and I go to the documentation of C sharp. Fine. So over here you can see that this is an API, a prepared API for Selenium with C sharp. Okay, so you just need to, like, will not be learning all these classes, all these, they are not used as well. So the important ones only will be discussing in the class, right? The classes, the things that are used mostly in Selenium as well, right? So in order, so like these, so like we'll be just making use of these APIs, so like these DLLs that come up with this API documentation, with this Selenium documentation. Okay, so we'll be learning features of each and every, like for some of these classes in our course as well, right? So this is how, like this is what is the concept of the DLL file. Now say suppose like we have this datetime class, and then say like and then these are your namespaces. Okay, now what is the namespace? Namespace is the collection of classes. Like as I told you, DLL is a collection of class. In order to work with any of the class that you are making use of, you'll have to include the namespace for it as well at the top in your class file. Like firstly you'll have to include the DLL file in your references folder, and then similarly you'll have to include the namespace for it as well. Say suppose if I comment this using system namespace, then you see that the errors have started coming up below this console keyword and the datetime class. So it says that this datetime and this console both are coming inside this system namespace. Like we have included the system, like the system DL is there in your project, but if you are commenting the namespace, if you're not including the namespace for it, then also you'll start getting the errors in your code, right? So you'll have to include the DLL file as well as the namespace in your project as well, in order to work with your in order to work with any of the class file that you want to work with. Okay, so now if I uncomment this, then we are, like, the code is fine. Okay, so this is what is the importance of the namespace as well, and the DLL files. So under these DLL files, under this system namespace, that means it shows that under the system DLL file, we have the datetime class and the console keyword as well. Okay, so similarly with the same concept goes with Selenium as well. Okay, so we'll discuss the Selenium also. Just for now, we'll be focusing on the C sharp, like this Visual Studio. Right, now coming over to the concept of OOPS. Okay, now if I start with the OOPS, now as we know that everything starts with the objects. Now what is an object? What happens in memory when you create an object, and how do you use Selenium as well? How do you use the objects in Selenium also? Okay, but before that, like if I want to work with Selenium, like as I told you, we need to configure, we need to add the Selenium DLLs as well in our code in order to work with the Selenium, right? So we'll just like before going on, before working with the Selenium, we need to add the Selenium DLLs. So you need to download the DLLs in your system in order to work with the Selenium DLLs, right? So suppose I have this if I go to the Selenium HQ website, okay, under this download section, if you want to download the Selenium DLLs for C sharp, then you can simply click on this download link. Okay, and the Selenium.NET DLLs will get added, like will be added in your system, right? So it says that the current version is 3.3.2. Okay, so the zip file for it will be added, and then say like out here will not be working with the latest Selenium version, that is 3.3, because this latest version is having many bugs inside it. Okay, so we'll not be working with this latest Selenium version. Fine. Rather, I would switch back to the previous version. For that, you go to the previous releases link. Okay, and now here you can see that these are all the versions of the Selenium that have come up till now. Okay, that is, we have all this version, we have all the Selenium versions, and then I will be working with the 2.53 version of Selenium, which is more stable up till now, which is more stable. Okay, and then say like and then like the way you open the browser in Selenium 2.53 and in Selenium 3 and in Selenium 3, there's slightly a different code. Okay, so I'll tell you both. I'll tell you both in both the versions of Selenium how you work with how you open the browsers. Okay, say suppose if I work with the Selenium 2.53 DLL. For now, I'll just show you Selenium 2.53, and then I'll tell you the Selenium 3 version as well. Okay, so like I want to download the 2.53 DLLs. Okay, then I'll just download it, Selenium.NET 2.53.0 zip file for it, and I click on OK, and it will get downloaded. Okay, so you see that the zip folder of this has been downloaded, and then I'll just extract it. Okay, and I extracted this. Okay, this is here. Okay, fine, and then I'll go to my net 40 according to my framework, .NET framework. Fine, and then you see that this folder, it contains the DLL files, the Selenium DLL files that you need to add in your project in order to work with the Selenium. Okay, so these are the Selenium DLLs. Fine. So now how do you add these DLL files in your Visual Studio project? Okay, that is, I told you under the references folder only we will be adding the DLL files, all the DLL files. Okay, so how do you add? You simply right click on the references folder and I select add reference. Okay, and then I'll browse to my location where I have downloaded my Selenium DLLs. Fine, so it's there under the downloads, and then we have Selenium.NET 2.53.0. Okay, these are all the DLLs that we'll just add in our project. Okay, so you see the DLLs has been added. The WebDriver DLLs has been added in your code. Okay, so now if I give any Selenium command, say, okay, I'll just add a new class for, say, this is here Selenium basics. Okay, and then say I want to execute this, so I'll just create a main function. Okay, now say like you want to open the Firefox browser. Okay, so I simply create the object of the Firefox driver class. Okay, and then for like we have added the DLLs for the Selenium, but then as I told you we need to add the namespace for it as well, right? So like since up till now we have not added the namespace, so you are getting the error over here, right? So if I need to add the namespace, then what you do is like you can either click on this down arrow which is coming up over here, that is, it says that you need to include the using openqa.selenium.firefox. Okay, that is, you need to add this namespace in your project in order to work with the Firefox driver class. Okay, so like you can simply click on this down arrow which is coming, or else from the keyboard you can press Ctrl plus dot, and then also you will get this list coming up. Okay, so I need to add this openqa.selenium.firefox. It has been added in your project, and then you see that the error has also gone. Fine. So I create the object of the Firefox driver class, and then now if I execute my code, I click on this start button, and then you see that the dialog box comes, and then it says that there were build errors. Would you like to continue and run the last successful build? That is, it says that there are build errors in your Visual Studio project. Now what is the error? The error is that the program has more first day entry, first day, then one entry point defined. That is, this error meant to say that in a console application project, you cannot have more than one main function. That is, right now in the program.cs class file also we have declared a main function, and in this another Selenium basics class also we have one main function. And then in a single console application project, you cannot have more than one main function. If you try to create more than one main function, then you'll get error as we have got it. Okay, that is, for that what you have to do is, like, we'll have to comment the another main function that we are not using right now. Okay, so I'll just comment this main function of my program.cs class file, and then now I'll build my solution. The build is succeeded now. Okay, build is similar to the compilation of your code. How you compile in C#, like in this Visual Studio, we build the solution. That is, we compile the solution. For that, we go to the build menu and we click on build solution. Fine. So the build is succeeded, and I go to my Selenium basics class and I want to open the Firefox browser. So I click on this start button. Now we have only one single main function. So what we are trying to do is, we are simply trying to open the Firefox browser, a blank Firefox browser only. We are not navigating to anywhere. Okay, now right. So you see that the Firefox, a blank Firefox browser has come up before you. Okay, since we were trying to open the Firefox browser. Okay, that is, I just created the object of my Firefox driver class, and then you are able to open a blank Firefox browser. And then with this Firefox driver class, you can do a lot many things. Okay, we'll not focus on that right now. Like right now, we'll just see that how do you open the Firefox browser with Selenium 2.53, and how you open the Firefox browser with Selenium 3. That is slightly a different code. We'll see that as well. Okay, so this is how you open the Firefox browser, and with this Firefox driver class we can perform many functions. We'll discuss that as well. Okay, now coming over to the concept of oops. We'll jump over to the concept of oops. Okay, say suppose I'll create one new class in my project, add new item, and say I have one class, friend class, inside it. Okay, and I declare two properties of my friend class, that is the name of the friend, right, and the phone number of my friend. We have two properties of the friend class, the name and the phone number of the friend. Fine. Now in the program.cs, I'll just uncomment this, and I'll comment the main function of my Selenium basics class. Okay, fine. So I have this, I'll just build the solution. Fine, so now the build is succeeded. Okay, now inside this main function, so like I'll just comment this previous code. Okay, so this is how you put the multiple comments, right? Multiple comments, like you put it a slash and an asterisk sign, and then you close it as well. Okay, so this is for multiple comments, and if you want to put a single line comment, then you just put the double slashes. Okay, this will comment your single particular line. And then from the keyboard, the shortcut for putting the comments is Ctrl plus K plus C. Okay, right, that is, I'll just write it over here. We have Ctrl plus K plus C for putting the comments in your program, right? And similarly, in order to uncomment the code, you have control plus k plus u it is for uncommenting your code. Okay, right? For uncommenting, you have control plus k plus u, and for comment, you have control plus k plus c. And then also, like over here as well, you have these two icons for commenting your selected lines and for uncommenting the selected lines. Fine. Sorry. Fine. Now, okay, I have this. Fine. Now, what I want to do is I want to create the object of my friend class, and now I want to access these two properties of my friend class, name and phone number, that I have declared in my friend class. So for that, what I need to do is I need to create the object of my friend class. Now what do you mean by an object, creating the object of a friend class? How do you create the object of the friend class? That is, you simply give new and the name of the class whose object you want to create. Okay, so with the help of this new keyword, we actually create the object of any class. Okay, and then you can create as many number of objects of the class in your code, in your program. You can create as many number of objects in your class. Okay, so like all these objects are created in the memory. Now what actually happens in the memory is, say like right now what we have is we have created 5 objects of the friend class. So 5 objects will be occupying the space in the memory. Okay, and every object will have the two properties declared in the friend class, that is the name and the phone number. Name and the phone number. Every object will have this two properties that we have declared in the friend class. Every object will have this. Okay, so this is your object in the memory. Like we have created the 5 objects, so 5 objects will be occupying that space in the memory. Okay, right now like this is your object new and then the name of the class. Now to access this object of the friend class, you cannot access it directly. You cannot access the object of any class directly. For that, we need to access it by the object reference. Now object and object reference both are different things. Object and object references are different. Now what do I mean by object reference and what do I mean by object? That is, if I say friend f1 is equal to new friend. Okay, I say friend f1 is equal to new friend. So this f1 is the reference to the object. f1 is not the object. You will not say that f1 is the object of the friend class. f1 is the reference to the object. f1 is the reference to the object of the friend class. Okay, f1 is the reference to the object of the friend class. By declaring new keyword before the name of the class, you create the object. Okay, and then f1 is the reference to the object. That is say like we have say like this is your object of the friend class. Okay, which contains the two properties, the name and the phone number of your friend. And then when I say friend f1 is equal to new friend, then what actually is happening is f1 is pointing towards your object of the friend class. This is your object, right? This is your object, and f1 is the reference to that object. That is, f1 is pointing to your object of the friend class. Fine. Okay. right? And then say like if I want to create one more reference to my friend object, a friend class, that is friend f2 is equal to new friend. I create one more object of my friend class. Yes, you want to ask something?
Proceed, you can proceed, no issues.
Okay. Right, so this is your another reference to the object of the friend class, and to each friend I can assign different values to it. For example, say I f1 dot name. Okay, I just make them as public so that we are able to access in another class. Fine, and then if I want to give the name of my first friend, that is f1 dot name, you give any name over here, say a, and f1 dot phone number is this. Okay, any phone number you give, and similarly if I want to give the name to my second friend and the phone number of your friend. Okay, fine. So you can give any number. Just a small keyboard only. Okay, so like this is your phone number of the friend class, right? And then what is actually there in the memory is we have right now two objects of the friend class that contains the name as a for the first friend and the phone number also we have, and then for the second friend also we have the name and the phone number, right? And then what I say is I am saying that f1 is pointing towards the first object of the friend class, and f2 is pointing towards the second object of the friend class, right? Okay, so like the two values that we have said, that we have declared, the name and the phone number of the two friends will get added up, will be assigned to each and every properties of the two objects of the friend class. Okay, fine. Now say suppose you want to print these as well, so you simply write console dot write line, and if I want to print the name of my friend, the name of the two friends, okay, then I simply say f2 dot name. Okay, and then now if I run my code, we are able to see the output of the names of the two friends, that is the a and b of the names of the two friends, right? Now say like if say suppose if I write f1 is equal to f2. Now understand this concept very careful, this is very important. If I write f1 is equal to f2, okay, so then what happens? We'll just see. Like we have two objects f1 and f2, right? Now when I say f1 is equal to f2, now right now f1 is pointing towards the first object, this object, and f2 is pointing towards the second object, okay? But when I say f1 is equal to f2, then f1 will stop pointing towards the object where it is pointing right now. f1 will not point towards the first object, rather it would point towards the object where f2 is pointing. That is, now f1 will also start pointing towards the object where f2 is pointing. Okay, so you can simply say that objects are there in the memory. We cannot move the objects. The references can move from one location to another location, but the objects cannot move from one location to another. Okay, so like as we have seen, when I write f1 is equal to f2, then f1 will stop pointing towards the object where it was earlier pointing, but now it will point towards the object where f2 is pointing. So now if I try to print the names of the two friends, when I say f1 dot name, and then similarly I say I want to print the name of my second friend. Now can you guess what will be the output of the two names of the two friends?
287.
Name,
name, right?
name I'm
Name is
saying.
B.
Yes.
B it is.
Yes, very correct. Very good. Now when I run my code, you see that now we are getting the output as B and B, the names of the two friends. I am printing f1 dot name and the name of the second friend. Okay, and then if I look into my output, the output says that the names of both the friend is B and B. That is why? It is because I have written f1 is equal to f2. Right? Have you understand this concept?
Understood.
Okay. Fine. So this is what is this when you write f1 is equal to f2, then the two references point toward the two objects point towards the same reference. Okay. For that we are getting the result as B and B for the two friends. Okay. So this is another very important concept, and then we have seen that object and object references both are different. An object reference can move from one object to another, but the objects cannot move from its location. Okay, yeah. So now same thing we'll do in Selenium as well. Now coming over to the Selenium concepts. Okay, so this is how you declare the objects. We have seen the declaration of the objects in simple C#. Okay, now if I come to my Selenium concept, so we'll do the Selenium and the C# simultaneously, like as I told you yesterday as well, so that you are more clear with the Selenium concepts as well and the C#. You can correlate both these concepts among one another, right? So this is okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, fine.
Yeah. So like say I'll comment this and I'll just comment. Okay, right, so I comment the main function of my program class and I have the Selenium basics class. Okay, fine. Now inside this main function, say like I am creating the object of my Firefox driver class. I create the object of my Firefox driver class. Okay, so like we have seen that this will open a blank Firefox browser. Okay, now this is your reference to the object of the Firefox driver class. But then earlier I was just saying new Firefox driver. So new Firefox driver will create the object of the Firefox driver class. And then now I say that FD is pointing towards the object of the Firefox driver class. Okay, so this Firefox driver class, we didn't write the code, the code to open the browser, the code to open the Firefox browser. We're just making use of this Firefox driver class, right? So this class is an inbuilt class that comes with the Selenium DLLs. The DLLs that we have added in our project, this Firefox driver class, it comes from there. Okay, and then we have added the namespace for it as well, so that we can use this Firefox driver class. Okay, fine. Now as I told you, with this object of the Firefox driver class, you can fire many functions with this Firefox browser. Say suppose I say fd dot, and then you see a list of options will come up before you, which like anything, various functions that you can perform with this Firefox driver class. Okay, and then we'll discuss all these in our coming classes. Say like if you want to navigate to any particular URL of the Firefox browser, right? So then you say I say fd.url, and then I need to give the URL where I want to go. That is, say like I want to go to gmail.com. Fine. Now if I run my code, so have you understood the concept of objects?
Sure.
Okay.
I have some questions. I'll ask them.
Okay. So you see that the Firefox browser opens and it has navigated to the Gmail website as well. Okay, and many functions we can do with this object of the Firefox driver class. We'll discuss them as well in the coming classes. Okay, right, and fine. And then you can create as many object of this Firefox driver class as well as we created the object of the friend class in our program. Fine. Now similarly, say like we want to open the Chrome browser. You want to work with the Chrome browser as well. Okay, fine. So similarly for that, like under this DLLs that we have added in our project, under this DLL, all the classes will come up automatically, right? We need not to add the separate DLLs for the separate classes and all everything. Okay, now say suppose I want to work with the Chrome browser. Okay, then for that I will have to create the object of my Chrome driver class. Okay, and then for that we'll have to include the namespace for it as well at the top so that we can work with this Chrome driver. So if I press Ctrl plus dot, and then it says that you need to add the reference of openqa.selenium.chrome. I'll simply add that. It has been added, right? And then I create the object of my Chrome driver class. Okay, fine. So I'll just say like I'll comment this Firefox driver. I want to work with the Chrome browser. Fine. Now I created the object of my Chrome driver class, and then now if I run it, now what should happen is it should open a blank Chrome browser, right? So we'll just see. Okay, so like the Chrome browser is not open, and then we have get an exception. The exception says that the driver service not found exception, that is the Chrome driver.exe file does not exist in the current directory or in a directory on the path environment variable. That is the error meant to say that you need to add the Chrome driver.exe file in your code in order to work with the Chrome browser. That is, you need to set the path of the Chrome driver.exe file in your program in order to work with the Chrome browser. Everybody will get this error. Initially, everybody will get this error when you try to open the Chrome browser. Okay, that is, for that we need to add the exe file. So for that what we do is we go to the official website of Selenium and simply navigate to seleniumhq.org. Okay, and I go to the downloads tab. Fine, and under the third party browser drivers, you will have this Google Chrome driver. Okay, so we need to download the Chrome driver.exe file from here. Okay, and then the latest is 2.29 version of the Chrome driver. So I'll not download it again since I have it already in my system. Here is your Chrome driver.exe file. Okay, that is, what you need to do is you need to set the path of this Chrome driver.exe file in your constructor of the Chrome driver class. Okay, I need to set the path of my exe file, Chrome driver exe file. Okay, and then like in the path you need to add the double slashes. Fine. So we'll add the double slashes in our code, or else if you don't want to put the double slashes, then what else you can do is you can even put @ symbol as well before the path. So this @ symbol will automatically take double slashes in your any path. Okay, fine. So like what we have to do is we have to first of all add the path of the exe file inside the constructor of the Chrome driver class, and then one more thing we need to do is we need to even set this path in the environment variable as well. That is, I go to the properties of my system, advanced system settings, environment variable, and under the system variable we'll edit the path variable. Okay, we'll edit the path variable, and then in this path variable, in the value over here, at the end you put a semicolon and give the path of your Chrome driver.exe file. Fine. Okay, So this is like I have already added in my path environment variable. Fine. So it has been added, and then now if I try to run it again, so now you see that the Chrome driver is trying to open, like it has opened, a blank Chrome browser has opened up. Okay, right. So this is how you open the Chrome browser. That is, in order to open the Chrome browser, we need to give the path of the exe file. But like in the Firefox browser, we were not giving anything. The Firefox browser was opening directly. Right? We need not to give any path for the exe file of the Firefox driver. But with the Chrome browser, you need to give it. Otherwise, you'll get an error, as we have seen. Fine. And with this object of the Chrome driver as well, you can find many options, as we can see over here. Similarly, say suppose I want to navigate to the URL, say like timesofIndia.com. Okay, and then now I run it again. So it opens the Chrome browser and then it navigates to the timesofIndia.com website. Okay, so same functions we can perform with any browser. Fine. So this is how you open the Chrome browser. Similarly, if say suppose you want to work with the Internet Explorer. Okay, the same kind of stuff we have to do with the Internet Explorer. That is, first of all, I'll create the object of my Internet Explorer driver class, and I press Ctrl plus dot, and will include the reference to it that comes from openqa.selenium.ie, and I create the object of my Internet Explorer driver class. Okay, and then now if I try to execute this Internet Explorer, try to open this, then for this Internet Explorer also you'll get the same error, driver service not found exception. That is, for the IE browser also you need to set the path of the exe file in the constructor as well as in the environment variable also. Okay, so IE browser, IE exe file also you can download from the official website. That is, we have a separate section for the Internet Explorer driver server. Okay, and then you can include it, you can just add it in your system. Okay, and then this is your 32-bit Windows IE. This is not your system configuration, it is just the IE, 32-bit IE or 64-bit IE. Okay, so you can simply work with the 32-bit IE version. That will work on both the configuration of your system. Okay, so like this also I have it, I'll show you. Here it is, right? So I'll just take this path in my constructor of the IE browser and I put @ symbol, and the same thing you will have to set in the environment variable as well. You just edit the path environment variable and then add your path to the exe file over here. Okay, right, and then now if I say give ie.url is equal to say I go to yahoo.com. Okay, and then now if I run it, okay, so you see it opens the IE browser, okay, and is navigating to the Yahoo website as well. Okay, done. So you see that it navigates you to the yahoo.com website. Fine. So this is how you work with the respective browsers with the help of the Selenium DLLs. That is right. That is we have seen how to open the Firefox browser, the Chrome browser, and the IE browser. So with the help, like with the Firefox browser, we were not giving any paths to the exe file. So when you create the object of the Firefox driver, it automatically takes up the exe file for the Firefox driver and it opens the Firefox browser. But with the case of the Chrome and the IE, we need to set the paths to the exe file of the two browsers, and then we are able to work with it. Fine.